Hello everyone, my name is Pavel Shabatsky. This is part 2, and we are taking a look under the hood, so to speak, of the music I composed for our survival horror game. Also, I'm planning on making a little series of me composing real time this kind of chase music using both the layering and the horizontal sequencing technique, sharing some tricks and tips I picked up while researching this type of music. Also showing you my mixing process, how to import the music into Fmod and how to set it up so it is interactive and reacts to the triggers in the game. Anyway, let's get to Dr. Mir. So this track uses a horizontal sequencing technique. That means we have 3 separate sections of the same length, which are again perfectly loopable. And then depending on the distance between the player and the monster chasing the player, the game engine makes the music jump on the next available beat to whichever section needs to be triggered at the moment. Welcome to Reaper, and let's get right to it. So I separated the tracks into woodwinds, brass, percussion/drums, strings. There is also a bass guitar in the string bus, but it's not really a bass guitar sound. But since I haven't used any other plugged instruments, I just left it there with the strings and colored it purple. Then there are sound effects, and lastly the creepy music box, which is really the main flavor in this piece of music. Alright, let's hear what the first section sounds like. Let's start from the main elements of the first section. That would be this evolving brass pad, or brass bed, which goes unchanged through all the sections. It is already bounced out, so we might not see all the processing that have been done to this, but we can see a compressor, a ping pong pan plugin, which is dialed back to 46% wet, making the effect more subtle. And then just some corrective EQ, getting rid of this annoying frequency that I didn't want there. Let's have a look at the low instruments now. We have the bass clarinet, the contrabassoon, and the double bass. The bass clarinet and the contrabassoon are both from the Kontakt factory library, the orchestral folder. Just a simple sustain articulation. I turned off the default reverb and I'm sending it to 7th Heaven reverb instead. And the double bass, if I remember correctly, is from Spitfire Audio Epic Strings. The patch I'm using is long concertino, and I have the room mics only. So it's more muffled, more distant, more mysterious. We also have low brass, joining the low woodwinds and the double bass on a few occasions. I got this very interesting virtual instrument called Battalion. It allows you to morph between 4 instruments. And there are many brass instruments and articulations to choose from. There are trumpets, horns, trombones, bass trombones, tubas, brass thins. There are clusters, evo pads, ribs, glissandi, and all that good stuff. On top of this, we have some sparse strings, just here and there. We have some tremolos and these gliding violin cries I recorded on my 2-string violin. Let's check out the percussions/drums. Let's have a look at the taiko drum first. Then sometimes I have a bass drum performing a little pre-roll before the taiko. We have the same snare brushes as in the Farmer Boss track. Now this wobbly gong is the little gong I just bought on Taiwan, and I put some pitch shifter on it. And lastly we have wood blocks, and those are from the Contact Factory library again. Let's jump to the sound effects. I want to show you this cool sound which starts both the first and the second section, and it's a wooden flute I recorded. Let's hear the original sound first. So this is already a stem with some distortion and octave pedal printed on it, but there's more. We have a ping pong pen plugin again on it, which is automated. Then we have a compressor, which is making it a little bit louder, and a proximity plugin, which is really bringing the sound right in our face. Then just some EQ, making it brighter. And lastly, an ozone imager, which is also automatic, spreading the mono to a very wide stereo. Now, this is a fun sound too. So I took my metal note stand and I bowed it with a violin bow. Sounds almost like bowing a cymbal, but since I don't have any cymbals, I thought this might be a cool replacement. There's just some EQ correction and Vastaus, if I'm pronouncing that right. It's just this plugin that suits the high frequencies. It's almost like Sooth 2 plugin, but it's free. Now, the last folder here is the staple sound of this track, I should say. What you have here is this amazing virtual Japanese gamelan instrument. There are all these instruments to choose from, and you can combine them to your liking. You can also microtonely tune them, which I did. So we have the gamelan, and then I exported just the reverb from the gamelan and detuned it with a pitch shifter. And then I also exported a delay and a reverb and reversed it. But I wasn't happy with just that, and so I added a music box virtual instrument, pitched it down, and added some delay. And last but important ingredients is this vinyl spin down. So I exported all the reverbs from the previous tracks in this bus, bounced them into a single track, and put a vinyl from Isotope on it. And it's this cool plugin. It has a little button down here called spin down. And when you press it, it slows down and pitches down the audio as if you're slowing down an actual LP. So let's hear the whole creepy music box thing together. That's it for the first section. Let's move on the next one. So here's a little snippet from the second section. We have the same low woodwinds with the same double bass and the battalion low brass. We still have the brass bed, but we have some new brass elements. This is battalion again, a low snarl. And this is my amazing friend Bianca on French horn mixed together with some more battalion. Let's check out the percussions now, which are considerably busier than before. We have kind of a groove happening in a 7/4 time signature. Let's start from the bottom. This is a low floor tom from Spitfire Labs Percussions. Now it has a little radiator on it, some EQ, and most importantly the supercharger with a fat kick preset, making it punchy. Next, we have a trash box snare. That's a little metal box which used to be full of biscuits, but then I filled it with screws and nuts, pieces of plastic, glass, BBs, and all kind of little debris. And I recorded myself tapping on it. And there we just have a low cut, saturation, and a supercharger again. And this time it's mixed 60 wet, 40 dry. We have the brushes again, same sound, just a different pattern. And then we have these metallic percussions 1 and 2. Those are 2 different patches from the same library called Metallic Percussions Raw Power. And lastly, there's a metal flask I recorded and the gong again. So let me build it up for you from the bottom. Let's move to the strings. We have these violin cries, again recorded live on my old violin. And these actually go together with the creepy music box in this special kind of way. And these are just some tremolos with a slight bend. I believe those are Spitfire audio strings. And we have the first entrance of the bass guitar thing, so let's have a look at that. So a Spitfire Labs free bass guitar, then my favorite free amp adding a lot of drive. And then it's just EQ, compression, and limiter, and it sounds like a synth almost actually. In the sound effect bus, we have the same stuff as before, the flute and the bowed note stand, only this time both elements are a bit louder. And same is even the music box, only it's in a different spot and it's locked to the 7/4 groove. That's it for this section. Let's move to the last one. So let's have a little taste of the third section. So there are a lot of things to cover here, especially a lot of relationships between different instruments. So let's have a look at what the low instruments are doing now. With the bass clarinet, contrabassoon, low brass, and the double bass, we also have the bass guitar joining in. Let's go see the crazy string runs. These are Spitfire Labs just short string patch. They are supported by a trumpet. And I recorded these violin cries again, which act as answers to those riffs. Then we have this middle transition thing. Firstly, there's an aggressive string riser. It's leading into this cool effect on a tenor saxophone I recorded. It's just some false fingerings, harmonics, squeaky stuff with a drive, and an octave pedal on it. While the saxophone is playing, the low woodwinds and the brass do this staccato, marcato, walk-up thing, and then some stabs with French horns and trumpets. Here is another riser, this time just battalion brass. Then the bass guitar. A low brass crescendo. A reversed djembe. The boat note stand again. And a reversed gong. Let's hear it all together. So after the transition, instead of the string runs coming back, I used the clarinet, and I recorded this thing I call a turkey effect, which is basically a trill / tremolo around an F4, where you have a bunch of trill keys available. So I recorded that a couple times, layered it, pitched it up, put a bit of drive on it, and we have this. While the turkey effect is happening, I also added these violin screeches, which are played all the way on the other side of the fingerboard while pressing the strings fairly close to the bow. Adding to the violin cries answers, there are also these trumpet clusters. The music box only plays at the very end of this section, and it's a bit louder than before, so it cuts through the mix a little more successfully. And there's also this completely new element, an edgy drone, which is the boat note stand sampled and stretched into a long sustained note. As you can hear, there's a pitch automation and a tremolo on it. And lastly, here are the percussions and drums. We have pretty much the same groove as before, though the metallic percussions are a bit more busy. Here is the note stand again. This time it's played by chopsticks. And I'm no drummer, so I recorded that probably, like half the speed and then just sped it up. And here are two djembes, two same takes, panned to the sides and moved by a 16th to create this alternating effect. Alright, I believe that's it. Thank you so much if you made it all the way here. I hope it was not too boring. I hope you found it interesting, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask away in the comments. And as I said in the beginning, I'm planning on making a little series about composing this kind of music. So if that's something you're interested in, something you would like to see, please subscribe and stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and bye.